Good evening, church. My name is Violet Anirbi, and I'm a minister in this local assembly. So we're having Bible study unusual. It's an interactive session with our daddy, the senior pastor, right here in this auditorium. And with me to co-anchor this session is our minister, Kayode Morondia. Okay, daddy, the topic here is about fellowshipping. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to field these questions because I have so many questions. But before we start, can you define fellowshipping? Is there a dictionary definition or is there a Christian definition of fellowshipping?
Thank you very much. Well, this is Bible study unusual. The word fellowship, not fellowshipping. Fellowship could mean 2 or 3 words from the Bible. The most popular and common is from the Greek word koinonia, which simply means to share and to care. The word koinonia actually means you must give something or share something. It's actually a very deep word, and the use of that word is common in the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 16 is the most common, and it says there to share from the same glass. Today we can't share. That's what communion actually. The real definition of communion, when we say serve the Lord's Supper, is all of us drinking from the same cup. From the same cup. So the cup of fellowship. In other words, I will drink and I will give you drink, which means actually, don't tell anybody, we share the same germs. We drink everything. That's what the word communion means. Today, what we do as only communion is not called fellowship. That's what the word koinonia means. It means koinonia means to drink together, to share from the same cup, to share from the same pain. What that means is your pain is my pain. Your goodness is my goodness. Your joy is my joy. That means I'm sharing from what you're going through, and your wealth is my wealth. If we don't like that, we like the pain, we hate the wealth. That's what the word communion means. That's the real word fellowship. It means not just communication, but also communion. The other words that also speaks about fellowship, another one is metoke. Metoke is actually the feminine that means to have a fellow, to have a partner. That's where 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14 speaks about be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. That's what we're talking about today. They say, oh, wait a minute. We are not fellowship. We're not fellows. It says, for what fellowship as righteousness with unrighteousness? That's metoke. That's what it says, well, both of us are not fellows in this regard. Therefore, we cannot fellowship because we are not aligned. We're not together. We're not one. We can't allow righteousness and unrighteousness, light and darkness. That's communion and light. So that's what the second word fellowship means. So that's what the Bible means by fellowship.
Okay, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful explanation.
Yes.
But I want to find out, is there any difference between relationship and fellowship?
Oh, yeah. Relationship is a bit different from fellowship. Actually, I use that a lot often when it comes to marriage. I mean, relationship, church, Christianity is supposed to be all kinds and all sorts of people coming together. We are bound and expected and mandated by God to be in relationship with everybody in church. But we can have fellowship with a few people. I relate with older people, younger people, because we are saved by the same blood. But in terms of fellowshipping, I am at home in the company of certain people that we share other things together. Though I'm in relationship with everybody in church, I may not fellowship with everybody in church. Relationship is more broader, it's general, and so if we have relationship with everybody, but we only fellowship with a few people. Because you and are the same age bracket, you are homogeneous, you have the same career path, you share the same, you are both married, you marry at the same time, and you are going through certain things. When you women fellowship, youth fellowship, men fellowship. So the subject really is, if more people don't even have a relationship with others, it's difficult to have fellowship with you if I can't relate with you. It's easier to be in relationship with everybody, but not in fellowship with them. There are people in the ushering department that I relate with. My daughter, Mary Augustine, I have a relationship with her, but I do not fellowship with her. Debbie, my daughter in the ushers, I have a relationship with her, but no fellowship with her. Now, a Debbie and a Violet may fellowship together more than just have relationship together. A Sandra and a Debbie may have fellowship beyond relationship. So relationship is broader, fellowship is nucleus, is closer.
Deeper.
It's deeper, thank you. Because we have other things in common.
Okay, sir, I have a very tricky question now. So
Yeah.
why is the church so insistent on fellowshipping? That's one question. And must you fellowship with someone in church? Why I'm saying this is because we've seen scenarios, cases where, okay, it's fine that I come to church, I give my life to Christ, I'm spiritual in nature. Why does the church also want to control my social life, who I relate with outside the church, my spare time? So there are like three questions in one. I'd just like you to take that.
It's a very tricky one. And I must be honest, I will answer it from, can I call it from the social perspective? Number one, God created man to be a social animal. Man was never created to be alone or to survive alone or to feel they do not need another person. Nobody can, it's an island. Nobody can survive without the help of somebody else. That's the first point. So man here means saved, unsaved, born again or dead again, Christian or unbeliever. Everybody needs somebody to feel, complete and to support. So man is supposed to be supported. That's why we have communities or village or communal relationships. Two, when you now become a saved man, that does not stop you from being a man. So you are first man before you become saved. So the fact that I'm born again or saved or church or Christian does not stop me being a man. So saved simply means one that has a relationship with God. Even though I have a relationship with God, I still need to have a fellowship with God. Don't forget, I said relationship and fellowship are two different things. 1 John chapter 1 tells us that we need to fellowship with God. Don't forget, Adam and God had a fellowship. God came in the night to fellowship with Adam. Not just a relationship of God and mankind, but fellowship of Adam and God. And God said to Abraham, "Is my friend." Now, the fact that I'm now saved does not mean I stop being a man. Now, being a saved man still means I still need to be social. I'm still a social. I have a social need. That's why God now said in scriptures, I would like you to socialize with your kind. Now, my kind in this instance are who? Those saved. However, I can still socialize with those outside my saved folk. As long as there's some things they do out there that's not against what the dictates in here say I should do. So if there are some things we do out there, in other words, you go to class, and in your class, in school, you have friends who are not born again, and you want to read together. And while reading together, you are also inspiring each other. And so you become friends with that guy in your second, 200 level, third level, fourth level, and so you're friends with that person. But when it comes to your faith, one of you will influence the other. Either it gets you back to the world or you pull her back to the faith. So for me, we do not legislate that you should not. The Bible says, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. What that means is that when you're yoked, one of them will influence the other. I don't mind being yoked with you if I'm going to pull you to Christ. But the fear is that they likely will pull us back to the world. So if I'm yoked with you, I don't mind as long as I pull you in. Because when you have two oxen yoked together, one will be stronger than the other. The stronger one usually will pull the other person to do stuff. So I would rather pull you than you pull me. That's what it says, what fellowship has light in darkness. So there's nothing wrong with you socializing. My late father had a club. He had to go and socialize. It's called Highland Club. And every weekend, my late father would go to Highland Club to socialize, just to go there and hang out. And they would, what would they do there? They drink, they eat suya, they just talk the men's gist. When the men would come together, why they do men's gist? They would do business gist. So, hey, how you doing? Can I get that contract from your company? Oh, come next week. Let's see if it's possible. So they do social. Now the church has become a social place. Some Christians go to some churches purely to socialize, to pick a girl to date, and to do business, to close deals, not because of God. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just angry that we've left our primary assignment. And some churches are so spiritually focused They are socially bereft. They have no social programs. They make it look like we're only here to go to heaven. If God wants us in heaven, the following week we get saved, He will rapture us. You get? So He still wants us to be salt of the earth, light of the world. Don't be antisocial because you are supposed to be a social animal. I just hope I've shed some light on that.
Yeah, so I still have one more question. Must my social life revolve around the church?
No,
Can't I have a social life outside the church?
the church is not a problem. The church is the body of Christ. Church as a corporate entity should not control your social life. Corporate entity. But church as a fluid entity, which means you and I are church, the church is the body of Christ all over the world, there's church everywhere. There's church everywhere. There's church here, there's church there. So it's not when you gather that is a church, if you get what I'm saying. The church is not the 2 or 3 are gathered alone. Or that is a semblance of the church, but not the only semblance of the church. The church has many facets, many faces, many shapes. It comes to shapes and sizes. Now, the church, organized church, should not control, I repeat, control your social life. They should create atmosphere to have wonderful social activities. But where they are not doing it, there's nothing wrong with you going out there to socialize. When we say socialize, what do we mean? The friends, walk around, go to the cinema, watch a movie, take pictures, go to the beach, fellowship at home, get somebody's house. You guys go out there, girls hang out. 4, 5, 6 girls just sit down at home from 6 a.m. to 10 to 12 noon, just hang out, discuss life, discuss politics, discuss church, discuss unchurch, discuss issues around, discuss fashion, discuss clothing, discuss glasses, discuss everything, discuss colors, discuss movies, discuss music. That is what social life means. Social life simply means anything outside work life. Work is outside work life, because in the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam a wife, God gave Adam work, and God gave Adam friends, animals. Animal is social life. Anything I'm doing outside my regular 9 to 5 work, anything I'm doing outside my family is called social life. I don't have social life with my wife. I have emotional life with my wife. She's part of me. So you can't say I'm socializing with my wife. No, that's family. Adam and Eve, Adam and the animals was social life. Adam and God is spiritual life. Adam and the garden is work life. So some people just do work life, God life, which is church, work life, God, and they do family, and they have no year, and they're depressed because these can only be fulfilled by friends. And when friends come together to fellowship together, what is fellowship? Unwind, play, gist, talk, laugh, cry, shout, yell, fight. That's part of socializing. Because when we sit together to watch football, I scream at him, he screams back at me, no, my team is better than yours. And they're drinking beer. Those guys know how to socialize because they have no God in their lives. And because we have God in our lives, does not mean we should not have no social life. It's very bad. We must fellowship. If we don't fellowship, we're missing a part of us that God created. And that vacuum can only be fulfilled and filled with fellowship. Prayers cannot replace fellowship. Prayers cannot. Prayers was never meant. God knew the place of prayers. And prayers is when God comes in the cool of the evening to fellowship with Adam. However, God expected Adam to also fellowship with the serpent, with dogs, with animals. That's social life. And also have a fellowship with his wife.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
You have answered a question that's been on my mind with this long answer.
Is it a long answer?
I was thinking, I fellowship with my family already, and I'm cool with that. Do I still need to fellowship with church members, which you have just answered? Now, the other thing on my mind is, now I come to church, but I see everybody seem to be in their own clique, in their own gathering, and there's no way for me to enter. How do I handle this?
That's a different case. There are cliques. What is a clique? A clique is like a cabal, a group of people that come together with a sole aim of controlling the power base of an organization and not allowing others into that clique so that they can have sole control over that corporate entity, be it the church, be it the work, be it at work, be it anything. So there are cliques everywhere. And cliques try to protect the corporation and they don't use their power. It's all about power. There are cliques. Don't forget, even Jesus faced cliques in his own 12 disciples. They were already thinking and ganging up. There was a three that was called Peter, James, and John. Another clique here, another clique there. So Jesus said, hey guys, don't do that. You're going to kill what I'm about to start. Don't let's do cliques. But there will, because it's human nature to gravitate. Power is so tasty. Everybody wants control over others. So it's also the nature of man to gravitate towards those that you think are loved by the main man, so we can build cliques around him and then we can control others. So that clique is not fellowshipping. Clique is power-centric. The reason they are gathering is because of power. So fellowship is friendship. It has nothing to do with cliques. What that person is asking for in a church is, I want friends. You can have many friends in church, but how come you two are craving friendship with the clique? You two want power. So you want to also go into the circle of power so you can control. But if it's friendship you want, there's no small church, there's no big church that can have friends. You can have association of unclicked in that church and they become the friends. 5, 6 of us can just begin to gather together after service. We go home, we come back, we go home. You're friends. But you're not satisfied because you want to be in a clique. So you two want, and clique is power-centric. You want to have power. It's not going to be called a clique if they don't control things. Can you imagine a clique that doesn't have control? Then it's useless clique. The reason we call them cliques is because they think they control things.
Yeah.
Oh, Brad Benson and others that want to control things in this church. They have a clique there. So you want to join their clique so you two can control.
It's not fellowship you are looking for.
It's not fellowship, it's a power. So ignore the cliques. Those of you watching me, ignore the cliques and just go and be friends with people. There are many people out there who want to be your friend. Don't be friends with them. Go out after church. Go after church, go to have a pizza meeting. Go to pizza parlor, go and have a suya meeting, have an assume meeting. The good thing about fellowship is food and drink hates fellowship. If there's no food, no drink, then there must be something else we're discussing. And fellowship is stronger when you have something in common and some agenda that you discuss. Don't forget, the central theme of this our conversation today is fellowshipping. Is it obsolete or is it still relevant? I think the Bible tells us it has to be relevant. All of us, nobody can survive without friendship. Man was not made by God to survive without fellowship. And social scientists have proven that. Not that we need them to prove it. Scripture is more important than any science out there. But it just helps me to know that they validated that the scripture is right. Social scientists have done that. Political scientists have done that. All kinds have done that. Human beings would always want to have associations, friendships, fellowships, communions, just to unwind outside work. So now, who you are depends on where you can gravitate to. If you know yourself, and if the company you keep tells us who you are. We all keep companies, no matter how introvertish you are. I'm an extrovert, you're an introvert. Oh, I don't have friends, I'm reserved, I'm an introvert. Even the most introvertish creatures still crave for friendship somehow, somewhere, or else you become a sociopath, which is not right, which is not good, which is a disease of the mind. To always want to be withdrawn and alone and lonely and you don't want people around you, that is not a good trait. If you are that, then you need to be helped mentally. Your mental health status needs to be checked.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir, when it comes to, sorry, I have this out, take you back to, again, social life. So when it comes to this fellowshipping and the church,
Yes.
the church as an organization, so where does the church draw the line between creating an ambience for social life, for fellowshipping, for the people in church, and because we have a school of thought that believe that being social, it means that you're deviating, you're being conformed to the world, not really transformed. So where does the church draw the line in ensuring that, because I've had 1 or 2 situations where we say, okay, we want to go to a beach. You say, no, church cannot organize beach. Oh, it has to be a private thing we are doing, but as a church, we can organize. So where does the church draw the line? Is beach a sin? And can Christians go to the beach? Why does the church sort of make themselves distant from these social activities that helps fellowshipping?
Well, if it's beach, the last time we checked, there's no water spirit. And then back in the day, you wouldn't come to church and say to Reverend, sir, we have a youth program, You want to go to the beach, the first thing I look at is, oh my God, let's cast out this devil. Marine spirit, they're dragging my people to the beach. I bind you, you know what kind of binding? Oh my. You guys are enjoying yourself today, you're going to the beach. You can't even smell beach. You do your social activities at the vigil. You come Friday vigil, all the music must be played there. You can't even hold the lady's hands. You are going to be having 6 weeks counseling session with the senior pastor. For holding the lady's hands, you are in trouble. Trouble. Now, jokes apart, there's nothing wrong with the beach. The only reason you said something now, number one, why should the church sponsor a beach outing? I mean, that depends on the church program. Well, some will do that if it's a beach crusade, maybe. But for us to sponsor a social event that is going to take place at the beach for your pleasure, and you say, hey, please, can you pay so that I can go and have pleasure? How does that sound to you? Just think about it. It's your pleasure for you to, not soul winning, for you to go and unwind. I should come and pay for you to go and have pleasure. So for me, you don't want to have pleasure. If you want to have pleasure, you better go on your own. So
because if I go on my own,
yes.
There's every tendency that I may mix up with
No.
People
Wait.
like
I'm not saying the church is not saying don't go. But I say don't ask me for money to sponsor it. That you are asking for sponsorship. There are two issues here. You're saying sponsor. Take the money out. Go on your own. Now, the second reason churches frown at beach outings, I will tell you. Number one, for every event or occasion, there is an attire and a dressing. When I'm going to a cinema, I can imagine how you will be dressed for cinema. When you're going to for a sports event, I can imagine how you'll be dressed. You're going for a dinner, I can imagine how you're going to a beach. Pastor John's mind immediately begins to imagine what you will wear to a beach. So Pastor John will say, the beach attire is bikini. And you are thinking, should my daughters go to the beach with bikinis? Definitely the young man will say, yes, sir, let's go. Because young men want to see. And then the woman will say, we don't mind. And so the pastor will say, no, I don't want the young boys to become seduced. Not like you, we know you do go. We just say we don't want to sponsor it. If you want to go, it's called don't ask and don't tell. Let's pretend like I'm not aware you're going. But don't now come and say, I should be part of what you're going to do there. I like what you're going to do, socialize. So the next question is this. The event is a social event. The place is a beach. The question is, must it be a beach? Can't you... I'm not saying the beach is wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm only saying if the purpose is socialize, must it be a beach? Can't you have a social event outside the beach? I'm not saying don't go to the beach. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, is that the only place you can socialize? Yes, because Lagos is a very tight place. There's nowhere anymore. There are no parks anywhere. There are no cinemas. There are no halls. Beach is the only free place. If you're going to go to a hall, you're going to pay. If you're going to go to use a dinner restaurant, you're going to pay. For a beach, it's open. It's just sand and sun. Sand, sun, and ocean. I'm going there to just go and have fun. No problems. The church is not against young people going to hang out at the beach. Please note that. The church just frowns at the attire they likely will wear there. Because I can almost imagine nobody's going to wear a suit to the beach. Nobody's going to dress up to the beach. The beach is a place where you're close to the sun. You're supposed to be suntanned. You're supposed to be almost semi-naked for you to enjoy the beach. So because minimum clothing. So you're supposed to be minimally dressed for a good beach outing. So if I've been minimally dressed for a good beach outing, and you want the church to say, oh, fantastic, let's go there. So the church doesn't say don't go. But let's be careful what we drag the church into. So that's my submission on that.
Okay.
So the issue is socialize. You are looking at where to, and we're fighting about where to. We shouldn't fight about where to. Since we both agree there's nothing wrong with socializing, let us go find a good place to socialize. And I prefer smaller groups than all these big groups.
Thank you very much, sir. Something on my mind right now is about, similar to what you have just answered now.
Yes.
Different age groups have different cultures, norms, and languages. Now, I'm in a church. I want to fellowship. But I'm finding it difficult, probably maybe because I'm a new convert. I just give my life to Christ. My language is not similar to the church language yet. And I feel judged or condemned when I come into the midst of people and I try to be myself. How do I fellowship with church in that kind of setting, sir?
You can if you have mature people in that church. Unfortunately, most church people are not very mature. We're not supposed to judge you because we're supposed to embrace you. But we do not know. Most people do not know your new convert. Most people just see you as just join our church. They don't even realize that you just got found Christ. So they judge you based on what they see, not based on your journey. If you can only judge men based on their journeys, then it will be easier. That means that when he asked Jacob, how old are you? He explained his journey in life. He said, the days of my pilgrimage. Because life is a pilgrimage. Life is a journey. So if we can only understand that this person is 10 years old in faith and is acting like a baby, then we can judge you as a 10-year-old baby. I say, look, you should be doing much more than you're doing now. But for a 1-year-old in faith, I should understand that person is still a toddler. The person still does not understand so much. The person is struggling. Everybody loves God. And we don't want our relationship with God to be hampered with rules. But we don't want to offend him as well, yet want to enjoy ourselves. So, and we're saying, why can't I just be me and enjoy being me and pierce my nose, wear my anklets, and enjoy my being me. And I still love God. And so people immediately build walls because we have molds, and we mold their people psychologically as believers and unbelievers. So we do not think you're a good Christian when you don't do certain things. So we kind of find a way to judge you and to say you're not living right. So for such a person, just go in. I'm sure you'll find someone who's matured enough to embrace you and be your friend. Now, the funny thing about fellowshipping is that we must have needs. We must have interests. Now, for some other lady, what catches your attention, or what trips your fancy, or what interests you is fashion. There's no church where you don't have fashionistas. For somebody else, it's not fashion. It's actually education. There's no church you don't have eficos. For some, it's not education. It's actually just sports. There's no sports you don't have. There's no church you don't have sports fanatics. So find people that have shared interests. Then you can fellowship. The key issue is fellowship. And what helps fellowship are the interests. Some people just like cooking. Some people just like homemaking. Some people just like fashion. Some like designing. So find someone who shares in your interest. Wow. And you are also saved. Then both of you can begin to fellowship and also go to church. Some people just like tech. Some people just like media. So find someone, you know who you are. So the point is, many people struggle because they don't even know who they are. So they don't know who and how they can fellowship. I can work in the ushering department, be in the choir, and have no friend in the choir. But my friend is in youth ministry because we share the same thing together. She's into decor, she's into fashion, she's into sports, and so she's into food, into business, into cooking, into entrepreneurship. So because we share things together, she's into traveling. She likes to talk about traveling and into cars. Some people can't just, I can't just fellowship with some people because there's just nothing between us. I'm not interested in the things you're interested in. But I can fellowship with some people because with politics, I love politics. I love discussing politics. I love political animals around me. Let's see, I can discuss politics for 10 hours non-stop. I love church. I can discuss church for 20 hours non-stop. But there's some things I just can't discuss. I don't love food. So if your interest is food and he says, let's discuss. Have you heard of Spanish spaghetti? Have you heard of Italian macaroni? I will look at you and say, excuse me, please leave my office with your Italian macaroni and Spanish spaghetti. I'm not interested in all that. And that's the truth. So while you're saying it, I might tolerate you, but I'm bored. I'm just put up a fake smile. I will thank God, thank God. I will measure salt and pepper and Gary. You find that the man of God don't even do a bar. You know, so I'm not going to, it'll be difficult for us to fellowship together. Meanwhile, another person likes restaurant business. So they'll be sharing thoughts. They come to church sharing restaurant businesses and stuff. That hates interests, aid fellowship. 2, age, aid fellowship. Not only interest. So interest is regardless of age. In other words, a 50-year-old woman who loves fashion can be close to a 30-year-old lady in church. And they're so close because of fashion. But so age, interest is regardless of age. But age also can be the reason to what?
Fellowship.
To fellowship. Because a 17-year-old will find it easier to fellowship with a 17 or 18, 19-year-old in
I
the
like
teens
it to
church.
have common interests.
Because they have common interests, they're discussing the issues, they're Gen Z, and generational relationship. So generational gaps also affect relationship, even though we're gender. So if you say all women in church belong to village is come. No, I'm a 20-year-old woman, and you're a 70-year-old woman, and you want me to fellowship with you? It's not possible. A 70-year-old and a 20-year-old, I say because we are better this noise, it will be extremely difficult. We have no interest together, we have no shared values, we have no shared interest. The only thing is we have gender. We are women. And that's because we're women. We should fellowship. No. That's my grandmother. I can't put my grandmother. When I see her, I say, grandma. That's what I will say. Grandma in church. That's why I have a grandma in church. It will be difficult for you to fellowship with a grandmother.
Okay, sir. I have this question. In fellowshipping, is it the company, between the company and the place we fellowship, which is more important? Okay, I'm saying this because I came across a group of friends who, what brought me together with them is because we share the same values, we share the same Christian values. And then we fellowship, we clicked, we were talking about God, speaking in tongues together, praying together. But then where we do those things, sometimes they say, okay, come, let's go to a club. Let's go and hang out in the club to
speak in
continue the
tongues.
fellowship. You know, as Christians, we still need
Let's
to
go to club.
we still need to unwind,
To go to club.
relax,
To continue our prayers.
speak karaoke. Because we're together, there's every possibility that we'll ensure that no one goes astray.
Okay. In the club.
So yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. So so that's why I'm asking this question. Between the company and the place we socialize or we fellowship, which is more important?
Okay, so what you're asking me is, can a good company fellowship in a bad place?
Exactly, sir.
You've answered it. I just sold you a dummy and you answered. I sold you a big dummy. And
No,
you answered.
okay. Not really a bad place.
Exactly. I sold you a dummy and you walked to my child. Can a good company fellowship in a bad place? You say, exactly, sir.
No.
So the very fact that you
Not
agree
really a bad
that the place is bad shows there's no question. Well, you just said yes, sir.
Well, it's not really a bad place.
No, now you want to qualify that place as not bad.
It's not bad, really. It's just a place to unwind because the company more or less like sanctifies the place.
The place. Okay. Well, Pastor John is right there. And he said, my answer is very, very, very clear. The answer is no. The place, every place exists for a purpose. Every place exists for a purpose. When I walk into a stadium, I immediately understand the purpose of that stadium. In fact, the structure of the stadium, the building, the infrastructure speaks about what? The purpose. You see stands, you see no covering in the stand, you expect some even just stand up, you see the field, you see the turf, it tells you it's a sports ground. If you walk to another place, everywhere there is dark. A club has dark, there are no lights. You're not supposed to have so much bright light in a very beautiful nightclub. You only have some of those flashlights that's coming up and that, so that whatever mush you are doing in different corners, nobody's seeing. So it's a place that thrives in darkness. So you now see pack of lights going into a dark place to enjoy,
to light up the place.
to light up the place. It shows that you do not understand the purpose of that place. You can't say, shall we pray before they start their clubbing? And if you do say, shall we pray? You can't say, shall we preach? And they will probably throw you out. You get, so I think we must be careful how we understand our Christian faith. There's some good places you don't expect to find good people. Bad people, rather. Bad places you can find good people. You can't find a good child of God or a group going into a brothel to say they want to go and fellowship. You get the point? So a place, you can't have, with all due respect, you can't have a clean animal dying with a swine. Swine and pigs thrive in the midst of filth and dirt. So that's why you see, no matter how you wash up a pig or a swine, they find themselves in the mud. They're comfortable in the mud. They're just comfortable there. I've seen pigs in the mud, and I don't know how they do it, but they just enjoy that place. They walk in it. If you bring out a fish from an ocean and you put it in, it's only a matter of time it'll die. The oxygen of the fish is in the ocean because it breathes. The fin opens up and it gets air in the midst of water. A fish cannot drown in an ocean, in water. A fish cannot drown in water. So you have to understand that the nature of our life and our faith speaks volumes about where we can breathe. There's some places I can't breathe. You're choking me. If I go to the club and I'm speaking in tongues, you're choking me. I can't breathe. I'm not meant to breathe in that place. That place will choke me. I can fellowship outside that place, but I can't fellowship in that place. It will choke me. It's like a fish outside the natural habitat.
Thank you so much, sir.
I have a rather serious question.
A serious question.
Yeah. I'm a Christian.
Yes.
I've enjoyed fellowship for a while,
Yes.
but I've been hurt badly.
Hot badly.
I've been taken advantage of by people that I've opened up to. And I'm thinking, this fellowship, is it still relevant? Help me, sir.
People will always hurt us. Friends, you see, people when we ask these questions, I marvel. And maybe next week I will explain to you what Jesus said in Mark chapter 3, verse 33. And Jesus made a very controversial statement. There are so many he did. I've read my Bible, especially the Gospels. But one of the many controversial statements Jesus made, is that when they came to meet him and said, your mother and your brothers are waiting for you outside, Jesus looked at the people around him and he asked that question very succinctly. Who is my mother? Who are my brothers? Then Jesus pointed with so much strength at those that were there. These are my mother and my brothers. Saying he immediately redefined family. My brothers have hurt me. We haven't stopped being family. My sisters have hurt me. I haven't walked out of my family. Jesus' brothers did not even believe in him. So he said, you're not family. This is my family. I get upset when people say, oh, somebody upset me in church. It's because you never saw church as your family. If we see church as a family, people will always step on our toes. We just have to forgive ourselves and move on. There's no perfect family. There's no perfect family on earth. I know of a family where two sisters fight almost every day. Minister Violet and her sister. They fight almost every day in public, in private. They yell, they scream, they shout, they yell. Like, that cannot happen in church. They would have stopped talking to each other. But that's the family. That's what Christianity should be. That the fact that I disagree with you yesterday doesn't mean I won't forgive you today. And so I think it's time for us to redefine what we call Christian family. We're family. To tell you that there will be nobody in church that will upset you tomorrow will be lying to you. But it doesn't mean I walk out of my family. We are one. We are family. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples when you love one another. Love simply means forgive. People will forgive. People will upset us, annoy us. We are bound to forgive them. Peter asked Jesus, how often shall I forgive my brother? 70 times 7. A day, 70 times 7. So meaning that just keep forgiving. Endlessly. Love forbears. There's forbearance, there's forgiveness. So I think it's important for us all to change our mindset about church, that people won't hurt us, will be lying to you. Because human beings will always be human beings. There are different temperaments, different personality traits, different individuals, different interests. You greet someone on a bad day, the person won't answer you, just move on. Next week, the person might answer you. Tell the person you greeted last week, oh, forgive me, I'm sorry. So it's because we treat church as work. Because we treat church as work, we can easily resign from the workplace and get another job. So we easily leave church and go look for another one. And most people are not rooted and grounded. Because if you are planted in a place, it takes you a while to root you out. You might cut me, you might touch me, you might bruise me like a branch. But that doesn't mean I'm rooted out. I find it difficult. I know there are some people that they are the most dangerous and the most deadly, easily disconnect from others. I don't know how I can easily disconnect from those that I've been with all my life. easily, meaning they just walk out and no regrets. I don't know how that's possible. So I think it's important for us to know that, number one, offenses will come. Matthew chapter 17 says that to us. Offenses will come. People will always offend you. Christ said there's nothing I can do to stop people offending you and I. But you must be careful to make sure that forgiveness must also follow offenses. Forgiveness is to know that people will offend you. Why would God say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us? You have no right to ask God for forgiveness if you're not willing to forgive others. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So I wanted to ask this question: is fellowshipping really compulsory in a church? Because I know that a lot of churches try to instill people to fellowship. So is fellowshipping really compulsory? And what does the church take into cognizance people with social anxiety, people who do not even like to relate with people? Is there a what's it called? Is there a space for those people in the church?
Fellowship is compulsory. I don't want to use the word compulsory. Fellowship is necessary. The way God created us, we are meant to fellowship. I thought I've explained that. It's not compulsory, you need it. If you don't fellowship, I tell you, you'll be depressed. God created us to need friends. Where those friends will be from, they may not be in your church, but you can't survive without friends. If you try to, they call you sociopath. That's what I'm saying to you.
We have social media now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Social media has tried to redefine friendship. But 90% of what goes on there is fake. Nobody can have true friends on social media. Someone you've not met before, you now began to chat up on social media, and you now say he's your best friend, your BFF. It's fake life. And then because you have not had opportunity of stepping on one another's toes, of having close, proximate relationship with each other, you can't measure a true, genuine friendship through technology. Social media was created to help those who are friends not to lose touch. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, they were in school. We're getting out. How do we still stay connected? Because we're all going to go different ways. So it was never meant to make those who want friends to be friends. It was to make those who are friends to stay connected.
It's not supposed to replace fellowship.
It's not supposed to replace fellowship, but to keep us in touch with each other. Now, people now have redefined, reinvented, and recreated social media to the point where we think it can take the place of fellowship. It's not meant to take the place of fellowship. True, genuine friendship and fellowship must be done physically, must be done nucleus, must be done with interest, must be done with people coming together, human beings, not machine, not algorithms, creating for you your new friends, not AI as well. So I think the problem with the church today is the hustle and bustle, perhaps in our own city called Lagos, and lack of timing, and how we have to redefine modern day fellowships without consulting the olden days fellowship style. Nowadays, we have young people that would come together every Sunday evening for 2 hours, clap their hands, share the word, sing some songs, and after that, spend time to just talk, play, gist. The best way we fellowshipped in our own days in the 80s, if I tell you, you won't believe it, is after that clap your hands session, we walk that long walk to different homes, to the bus stops, that you see us in 2s, in 3s, in 4s, in 5s. Different people just pull themselves together and they just take that long walk from Alagomeji to Sabo to Yaba. At that time to just talk, hold your Bible, hold your bag, just gisting about what's happening with the Bangida, with this one, with that one, as you're walking down the street. That's fellowship. And then when you get to the point, this one just drops off, goes to catch his own bus or a bus, that person drops off, that person drops off, that person drops off. And you guys say, okay, tomorrow, no, next tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. Finally, tomorrow again, we converge in somebody's house at Diola, Shode, Dusoya, this one, that one. You converge there, you talk gist, Today, there was no social media. Fellowship was stronger, was homogeneous, was real. We fought more, we also liked each other more. was new. It was quite good. We would come together. I remember my friend Diola and I would just drink Gary, just keep drinking Gary, and we just sit there and say, "Yomi, about Gary here." We put Gary. I would just eating Gary and salt and sugar and some groundnuts. And as we're hitting it, we're talking. I was saying, "Do you hear what Papa Ege said? Can Ege say this? No, I don't agree." That I would just for 2 hours, he won't know that it's 3 hours, and he's walking me down my house, and I'm walking him down his own house the same night, 11:30, 12 midnight, and we're gone. That's fellowship. What just happened there is actually fellowship. So because we're friends, and iron sharpened iron, and so we kept each other's back. So he knew what I was doing, I knew what I was doing. So sometimes we also were accountable to each other. I knew I could not sleep with that girl because Diola was not here. Diola knew that he could not find that person. Yomi was not here. There was a way we respected each other. We also were accountable to each other. That's fellowship. That's friendship and fellowship. Though we both had relationships with other people, but we fellowship with one another more.
Can this fellowship be done online? Because like you explained, like you explained, like you just explained now. Those days, I think it was a bit calmer. The environment was a bit calmer, unlike now, where you wake up 5 a.m. and then you are back 9 p.m. So there's no time. Exactly. So can we move fellowship online?
No, I don't agree. You cannot fellowship well. True fellowship can't be done online. So you can, maybe you guys will be gisting and that, you see, that's what has happened.
Because you know what?
Wait, what has happened is some people have done that online, they've done it well. And they've gotten themselves bruised. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see so many nude pictures out there. Because somebody is showing himself on video, and they're just on the bed talking and gisting with each other. They won't even know somebody else out there is watching them. That has happened. If people are trying to be real, because true fellowship is make us see your face now. Because it's not just telephone. I can do a phone call to my colleague in the office. I can have a phone call with my boss. But with my friend, it can't be a phone call. It must be a face call.
That's why you have Google Meet and Zoom. Because I had a coffee fellowship with a friend of mine. And we did it over Google Meet. I had my cup of coffee. She had a cup of coffee. And then we had a fellowship over Google Meet.
I think
that's why your generation has
fellowship is very defined.
Fake friendships, fake fellowships. Fake friendships, fake fellowships,
fake fellows, all of them.
Fake fellows. You cannot confide truly, genuinely with each other. They will not be fake. Because true friendship means to share with me at the time what's going on in your life. That cannot be.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I think time is up, so we'll continue this next week. It was really a very, very interesting session. And thank you so much, sir, for your time on fellowshipping. I still have my reservations, but we'll continue this same time next week. God bless you. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Thank you and good night. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.